everybody. Welcome back to the Gen Z Sanctum. I am here, of course, joined with Nathan.
I just sniffed really loudly.
Wow, that's not good. Anyway, so here's, uh, we're back here in the Gen Z Sanctum and podcast studio, aka Discord, because we're doing this remotely. Uh, Braden was supposed to join us this week, but he had a cruise, so he won't be joining us this week. But perhaps next week, you'll have to tune in and find out. Nathan, before we get started with today's topic, what's up with you? How you doing? How's work?
Was a little rough today, but we made it through.
Nice. So, what made it rough? Did you almost stub your toe with a car that came off the lot or something?
No, I almost threw a wrench in the wall.
So, what did like some Karen come in and be like, "I want my car done," or like what?
No, I was fighting a stupid leaf spring on a mail truck for 3 hours.
Oh, 3 hours on one spring. Jeez,
Uh-huh.
that I can understand.
You see how I wanted to throw a wrench in
Yeah.
the wall.
What would have happened if you did throw it in the wall?
I would have gotten in trouble.
Dang. Do it, Nathan. Do it right now. I'm kidding. But anyway, so Nathan, let's talk about today's topic. So closely associated with Halloween is what this topic is going to be talking about. We're gonna be taking it back, Nathan. We're gonna be taking it back to something prehistoric, nay, primeval. We're going to be taking a deep psychological dive into the rabbit hole that is a certain emotion that is associated with Halloween. So, Nathan, how much do you know about fear?
Fear is fun because you walk into the woods and you're scared and you get eaten alive by werewolves. Thumbs up.
That's an oversimplification of events, but yes. But anyway, this week's episode is going to be a bit of a psychology lesson combined with a ketamine trip. So strap in and prepare yourself for perhaps the weirdest episode of this podcast, because today we're going to be talking about the emotion of fear, what it does, what it's associated with, where it came from, and so on. So things might get a little bit technical and psychological. Yes. So.
Yes.
I have nothing else to say, so I just ended off with
yes.
Yes. So, let's go ahead and talk about where fear came from. Supposedly,
Fear came from being scared.
And that's the podcast episode. No, I'm kidding. No. So supposedly, according to many sources, the emotion of fear, came from survival instincts back when we used to live primarily in the wilds, when we had to hunt for food, and fear was sort of an instinct given to us that allowed us, that if something around us was dangerous, that we would be afraid of it and tend to avoid it, was essentially what is said. Now, whether that instinct came from evolution or was God-given, that's up to the listeners to discuss, because you already know our views on it. So, but moving on. So fear. In many
Fear is being scared.
True. So Nathan obviously isn't a psychologist, so he doesn't care.
Yeah, I am. What are you talking about?
Dang, really? Okay, cool.
I went to school. Joke's on you. You thought I went to school for automotive. I went to school for psychology because I'm a psycho.
Well, anyway, we'll get basically Nathan's definition of fear is the kindergarten.
The kindergarten, Five Nights at Freddy's, screaming, raging,
no,
running from the ghost that follows you up the stairs when you turn the lights off.
Bruh. Nathan's definition of fear is the preschool version of the definition. Let me read you the actual definition. So, fear is a word that can be a noun or a verb.
It's a what?
Can be a noun or a verb. The noun is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous. So, as I said before, that basically, like, if you're in the wild and there's like a really colorful or like a really deep groaning noise from like the forest, like you're sleeping and you're near a fire at night, just think back to your ancestors that like slept around a fire at night in the woods or something, and think about if like a really like weird noise happens out in the darkness beyond the edge of the fire. The emotion of fear.
Be a little tingly.
The emotion of fear basically prevents you from being like, let's run headlong into that thing, and let's go find out what that is.
So if we're gonna get technical here, fear is actually a chemical release in your brain, and I have actually heard stories of people that their brains didn't do that.
That's true. There are conditions.
It's super rare.
There are conditions
super rare
where a person's fear response is ignored.
Yeah, it is extremely dangerous if you actually have that. Like, extremely dangerous because you don't know how to be scared of something.
That is true. So let me read you verb is to be afraid of something. So basically, essentially the same thing. So no noun or verb. It's really not. If we wanted to, because we're trying to do an episode on the emotion of fear, I'm gonna, instead of just make it fear is being afraid. Boom, question answered. Moving on. No, we're gonna take a little bit of a dive into it. So, Nathan, when was the last time you were afraid of something?
Well, technically, you can be afraid of just about anything. It's more of the severe rating of that fear.
So, Nathan, tell me the last time you were afraid.
I got scared of today.
Oh, dang.
Getting scared that a 40-pound leaf spring was going to come and smack me in the face.
So I'm assuming that this spring was really like tight and it would have sprung out if released.
No, it would swing. Like, swing towards me and smack me in the face.
Okay. Well, that sounds awful. So
what about you?
Honestly, the last time I felt fear was actually a couple of minutes ago. This is something a little bit different. This is called an irrational fear, which is slightly different than something slightly different. It's basically your mind finding something that's fearful that really isn't presenting a danger or isn't real, but your brain still turns on that fear response, called irrational fear. So basically, when we joined the call, Nathan, excuse me, it's my throat doing that thing again. Stupid freaking! I'm gonna rip my throat out later. What? I didn't say that. No, but Nathan's microphone was acting like it was gonna do the thing again, where it used the microphone as a speaker and a microphone at the same time, and so I had a greatly reduced excuse me, what in the frick is my throat doing? Other than your mom. No, no, but I had an irrational fear like, oh frick, we're not gonna be able to do the podcast episode because stupid computer. But no, so let me look up. I'm gonna see, because you had just mentioned the rare condition where you can't feel fear, and I'm just looking
Yeah.
up to see if that has like a scientific definition or whatever. Urbach Winit. I don't know how you spelled that or say that. Urbach Winit disease, SM, sometimes referred to as SM046, is a particular brain damage that is a case documented in 1994 of a woman who had severe brain damage to the part of her brain that felt fear to the point where she did not experience the emotion of fear. Which, if you think about it, is extremely dangerous because the fear response is supposed to protect you from things that could hurt you. So if you're not afraid of something that is dangerous, you could die, is the thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that. Let me see how rare this is. Only about 400 people have ever had this recorded condition out of like the 8 billion people that exist. Only 400 since 1994 when it was first discovered have ever had this condition. So I'd say that's pretty rare.
So 400 marked cases that they've discovered. There could have been more than that.
Oh yeah, just because that's how many it says. That's the ones that went into a doctor's office and got examined. Like, think about how many people might live with that on a day-to-day basis that think it's normal.
And just be like,
that think it's normal, that don't go to the doctor and be like, hey, listen, fear, what is that? I don't ever feel this. Like, yeah. So we don't know. It could be way more common than we believe, but only because 400 went to the doctor. That's how many we think we know exists.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy to think about. Now, obviously, you can learn this trait. You can learn like, if you're afraid of something, you can learn to not be afraid of it anymore. Like, with many of us, like, Nathan, you probably had, like, childhood fears, things you were afraid of as a child that were, irrational fears. Like, I don't know, like, for me personally, afraid of the dark. I was afraid of the dark.
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming you were afraid of the dark. What other weird, like, fears irrational weird fears did you have as a child that now you're like, yeah?
Trying to think. Oh, one of them was really stupid. And you remember that little joystick in like the middle of a keyboard?
Yeah.
Like a laptop, like an older one
that
would move the cursor?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was told by a doctor that if you touch that, the computer will explode. So I had a fear that if I were to actually touch that on a computer, that it would actually blow up. It took me 12 years to get over that fear. It is so stupid.
Bruh.
Yeah. That's a big bruh moment.
Okay, so here's another one that I was afraid of when I was a kid. This is completely irrational. I'm forgetting it now, probably because my brain blocked it out, but it was one where afraid of wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
Oh, it died too.
But anyway, so it was the fear of getting hurt. So many things that were cool, like zip lining, or all these cool things, I avoided doing because I didn't want to get hurt. So like, they'd be like, hey, also like crotch straps. So crotch straps. So like, you'd go to like a wall climbing thing, or a zip line, or something like that, and they'd be like, all right, we're gonna put you in a harness, and some of the straps go across your crotch. I was afraid of that. I don't know why, but like any strap that went directly across my crotch, I was just scared of it, and I'd be like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to do that thing. I'm good. No, thank you. No, thank you. And I was afraid, like, genuinely avoided rock climbing and anything else that that involved harnesses that had a crotch strap. which is
That sounds a lot weirder if you stop and think about it.
yeah, like now you're like, bro, what the frick were you on as a child? Like, but like back then, it was really afraid. Like anytime any activity took place that involved a harness, I immediately noped out of it. I was immediately like, no, thank you.
Just like,
Freaking,
nope.
I don't know why, but like anytime any activity that with harness straps was offered, I was afraid of it. Like I was like, no, thank you, I don't want to do it. And it took me probably till I was like 16 to get over that. Like now, I'm fat, so that's a little bit of a different concern. The concern now is that the harness won't fit. But like back then, I was
So it
just
took you to get fat to the point where the harness wouldn't fit to get over your fear.
shut up. No, but yeah, no, that was I was genuinely afraid of just straps, like crotch straps, especially on harnesses when I was a kid. Like it was crazy. Speaking of crazy, Nathan, while that really rare disease that we talked about is a rare natural phenomenon where people don't experience fear, there are unnatural ways to experience fear. For instance, psychosis. If you have a psychotic break, you can stop you can stop experiencing any emotions, including fear, correctly because you're psychotic now. Your brain has stopped functioning correctly. So there are unnatural ways like as I said, psychosis, going crazy, and other such ways, like unnatural ways to not feel the emotion of fear anymore, or any emotion. For instance, there are psychological like breaks. There are psychological conditions where you stop feeling any emotion at all, like no fear, no remorse, none of those. And many like serial killers will have this. Their brains will stop being able to make the chemicals that incite remorse, fear, and like those other emotions, which is why they do what they do, because they don't feel fear, they don't feel sad or remorseful for what they do. And so there is the unnatural way of not experiencing fear. I highly don't recommend that, however, because that's not good.
Yeah, that's not good at all.
So,
But if you want to become a serial
well,
killer,
Nathan, what are you about? Whoa, hold on, Nathan, cut that, editor, cut that out. Editor, me later, cut that out. I'm gonna leave it in. I'm gonna totally leave that in. So, wow. So let's talk about people who experience too much fear. Let's go the totally opposite direction. Why? Throat. My throat is afraid of me now because I'm going to rip it out. I'm kidding. No, but let's talk about people who are experiencing fear too much. As we said before, children have a lot. Why? Oh, wow. Jeez. Anyway, yeah, as I said, children experience too much fear. Now, there are other people. Now, this is that experience way too much fear, and they're referred to as scaredy cats. So, Nathan, let me ask you.
Scaredy.
Are there any scaredy cats that you know of, like either in your family or in other friends that are
Okay,
too
this
afraid?
was a while ago. There was one girl that I knew in school, and
Okay.
every single time I'd sneeze, my sneeze is a little bit above average noise, but you hear it, you're like,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like it's coming.
Oh yeah.
And every single time I sneezed, she jumped out of her chair, and I'm just like,
Why,
even if it was back to back, she would jump, and I'm just like,
bro?
it's not that scared.
But it's not.
Like we're
You don't have the worst sneeze though. I've heard far
oh
worse.
no, there's like the Russian dad sneezes that explode China.
the really
Yeah.
those are great.
I don't know if you've seen the meme, but like, people like showing different sneezes, and one of them was this guy looking at the ground, sneezes, and his nose explodes.
Oh yeah, the one where it's like hip, and like a gun fires at the ground, hip, and he falls over backwards.
Yeah.
That's POV Russia.
Yeah, my sneeze isn't that bad.
Yeah, no. If your sneeze was that bad, your head would have flown off a long time ago.
No, a lung would have exploded.
That's true. That's true. But here's the thing. Even like now or as a child, was there anyone in your like family or in your friends groups that just were afraid of everything?
Not that I could really think of,
Dang.
at least at the moment.
So there wasn't
Yeah.
anyone in. Well, here's a common fear. Let's talk about this. Spiders. Thoughts? Are you afraid of spiders, Nathan?
No. Oh, okay. So I do have a fear of like things with many legs, but that's only if those things with many legs, if they bite me, it could possibly kill me.
Okay.
That's the only reason I'd be afraid of it.
So
Which,
some
to
spiders.
be honest, I think is fair.
Yeah, that's kind of fair. So some spiders, like black widow
I'm more
spiders.
thinking spiders, not necessarily, because I'll just go, oh, look, a spider.
But like black widow spiders, ones that could kill you.
On the other hand, no, those can't kill you.
Black widow spiders
Even
can kill you, yeah.
The only spider that I know of that is a guaranteed it's going to kill you if you don't get medical treatment is the Sydney funnel web spider. That's like the only spider that I can think of that is a guaranteed death if you do not get treatment when bit.
So let me look up here.
I know there are other spiders, but that's the only one that I can think of that is a guaranteed death.
Well, black widow spiders are also fatal.
Depending on who you are. They don't kill everybody.
Can
they kill
maybe
people?
Not.
Yes.
Yes, obviously they can if you go on if you like get stung by a black widow and you're like, "Oh, I'm just going to go home and rest." Like, no, obviously you if you've been bit by anything.
Yeah, you still get
check
treatment.
it out.
Yes, yeah. But it's not going to be like a guaranteed death though.
That's true.
But for some people, depending on your health, it can be a guaranteed death.
That's true. But here's the other thing, Nathan. So, let's talk about another really common fear, which is called, well, like obviously you know the word like phobia. Phobia means fear.
Yep.
So, obviously there's like fear of water. Do you know anyone who has a fear of water?
I have a fear of deep water, and here's my reasoning why.
Okay.
Other people may not see this, but if I'm in the like water that I can't see the bottom, and I'm not sure what the phobia is called, but you see something come towards you, that is what I'm afraid of. Like, if I'm just swimming in the water and I see a submarine coming towards me, I freak out.
A submarine. So not like a shark or something. Just a submarine is coming towards you.
Like a big piece of machinery that has like...
So not animals.
Moving like propeller. Not really.
So if you went to... So if you... Would you be afraid if you got in the ocean? Like if you couldn't see the bottom? But like there's nothing there, obviously. Like just like blue forever. Would you be afraid of that?
Possibly. Depends.
Okay, so now imagine if like a whale or something was nearby.
If it's coming towards me, oh, absolutely, I'm getting out of the way.
Okay, so this essentially is called thalassophobia, the fear of deep water. So very common fear. There's a whole list of just really weird fears. Some of them are, again, irrational, make no sense. Some of them are, that understandable, like thalassophobia, afraid of deep water. Yeah, sure, that's understandable. Like, you have no idea what's watching you from the darkness below. But Nathan, here's here's a really I think irrational fear. Fear of clowns. I just found this one. Let's talk about it. So,
that I just don't understand. Like, the only thing that could make me scared of a clown is if a clown killer is actually chasing me with a knife. That's the only thing that could make me scared of a clown. Like, an actual killer clown's following me. That's the only way.
So, like, if it crawled out of a painting and just started coming towards you, you'd be afraid of it?
Like, actually tried to start to kill me? Yes.
So if it came up to you and was like, "Hiya, Georgie," and like,
no, I'd stand there looking at him like, "Hi, can I help you?" Then they take out a knife like, "I'm here."
So just, "Hiya, Georgie." We all float down here. Have you ever seen it, Nathan?
Nope.
Oh, dang. Well, anyway, never mind. You can't relate to this. I'm doing the voice of the clown in the movie, and it's hilarious. Anyway,
okay, I know what he sounds like.
Okay, but that's pretty accurate, you would say.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyway,
high pitched. Sounds like a psychopath because he is.
That's true. Just like me. Wait. Did I just out myself?
The only thing that I found that was weird in the movie that kind of was like, oh, hello.
What, like scary or weird?
Sank. And when it came out of the drain, he's oh, do you want a balloon? He's like,
do you want a balloon, Georgie?
Then he goes towards the drain, and then it just
the jaw unlocks and comes out.
And I'm just like,
oh yeah,
frick.
That's scary too. Although that's not the weird. There's a scene that's weird, but not because it's scary, but because it's just weird. We're not going to talk about it though. It's kind of involves children. Anyway,
it's more of a why weird.
It's like but hey, it's a step down from what's in the book. The It book does that scene so much weirder. But we're not going to talk about it because it has nothing to do with fear. It has something to do with horny teenagers, it has anything to do with fear. We're going to move right on past that. Stephen King, who wrote it, is just really weird and decided to include that in that book for some reason. Anyway, moving on to more fear. So one last discussion before we end the episode, because we're getting near the 30-minute mark. But Nathan, so let me ask you something. So there's a common underlying fear that I think everyone either has, consciously or subconsciously, which is, of course, the fear of death. I think a lot of people have this. A lot of people have this, and they may not admit, like, I'm afraid of death, but like when they get close to death, they're afraid of it. So Nathan, let me ask you: are you afraid of death?
Personally, I would have to say no.
I'm also not afraid of death. The reason for that is because I have almost experienced it 3 times, and it was obviously not fun, but at this point I've kind of lost my fear of death. Like, obviously you asked really young me, and like, yes, but I have almost died 3 times in my life, and so now it's like, take me, death, take me, sweet death. No, come here, death, give me a big old hug. But no, but I'm sure, I'm sure that a lot of people are afraid of death, especially those who, don't see an afterlife. Like me and you obviously believe that we're going somewhere, but like for those people out there listening, and just people in general that don't believe that there's anything after death is a whole lot more scary. Like if you believe that, like, oh, that's it, like death is game over, then obviously you're so much more afraid of it. But like
Yeah, you're like, oh my word. Those are also the people that feel that they need to go on vacations every other month.
That's true, Braden. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Um, but anyway, essentially, so I feel like that's kind of that's about it. Honestly, I mean, we could do a whole like let's open up some like papers from famous psychologists and look like do a far more deep dive into fear. But honestly, we just passed 30 minutes on the thing, so I think we're going to go ahead and call this episode on fear here and wait for Tuesday or Wednesday for you listeners out there of next week for Braden to be back from vacation and for Nathan to do his episode of the podcast. So you have anything, any last notes you want to add, Nathan, before we head out?
Fear is scary.
True facts. Anyway, so thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to that episode, and tune in next week.